All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first town hall meeting, as we're considering our calling it. The basic idea or premise behind this was basically just to help out parents with questions or struggles or challenges that they might be having with school, the new virtual learning, homework processes, anything that they basically would just like to get some answers on. The whole idea behind this is wisdom of the crowd, so not feeling that you're alone and by yourself, that basically hearing from other parents that they're facing the same problems, that in itself helps out a whole lot. These are going to be recorded, so if you do want to go back and watch, then you're welcome to do that at any time as well. My name is Denny Strecker. I'm the chief instructor at Prestige Martial Arts. I'm also the owner of the school. My title is Shihan, so if you hear somebody talking to me from the karate school about that, if they use the title Shihan, then you're going to hear that as well. So basically what we want to do is I'm going to spend about 10, maybe 15 minutes talking about a particular topic, and then we open it up for Q&A each and every evening. So you're going to have people logging in, people logging out. As they come, realize the kids might be going to bed, you might be making dinner, and that's why we're going to record these videos. So hello, ladies. Welcome to the meeting. Good to see you guys. Basically, what we want to do first is just start with basic tips. If you're not a student at our karate school, one of the main things that we find is most successful is working on structure and teaching the kids about structure. The more structure they have in their life, the more certainty there is in their life, so the more secure they feel and the less anxiety. So for example, at the karate school, everybody knows as soon as you walk in the door, you bow and you greet the instructors. You say, "Hello, sir," and then you take your shoes off, put them away, and sit down and get ready for class. So this way, when kids are coming to the karate class, they don't have any anxiety about what to expect or what's going to happen or what to do, because they know as soon as they walk in the door, that's what they're supposed to do. More important, the parents do it, because we role model proper behavior. We don't just tell the kids, right? The old adage of do as I say, not as I do, that our parents said, doesn't work. So we role model the behavior, have the parents do the same thing, and then get ready for class, as I mentioned. From that point, class structure is the same every single time the kids come to class. So by having, again, that type of structure, they know we're going to bow in, they know we're going to do the student creed, they know we're going to do a warm-up, and then they know that we're going to do particular sparring drills, then stretching, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea is, how much structure can you create for your child at home so that they start to feel that same certainty and safety? Now, again, a lot of times parents will think, well, I don't want to have too much structure because kids hate rules. But they don't. Kids thrive with rules. Now, they're going to rebel against them. They're not going to want to follow them all the time. But it's proven time and time again that the more structure and the more rules, or the better rules, I guess I should say, that you have for your child, the better the results they're going to have and the less anxiety. So that's going to be a super important key. And so if you have any examples of structure, certainly would love to hear them, and you can share them with the group, and we'll be able to talk about them. If you're uncomfortable unmuting yourself and talking, you can always type them in the chat, and then that way I will share what is typed as well. The second thing that we wanted to talk about is being able to ask better questions. And so what we started noticing that's happening is that all too often your child will say, "I don't get this," and then you show them how to do it. So they start learning, I don't have to do this. I can get mom or dad to do this simply by saying, well, I'm stuck, I don't know how to do it. So we want to change that process before school even starts. The secondary problem is, by you doing it and showing them, subconsciously they start to think, well, I was dumb, I couldn't figure that out. And we don't want that process either. So the basic questions that you want to ask, it's real difficult. Why? Right? How many times have you been around, right? If you're a parent, you remember those years with a toddler. Why? Well, why? Well, why? And that's all they ask over and over and over again. And the reason they do that is because you're not answering the question to their satisfaction of what they're trying to understand. So what we want to do is we want to flip that now that they're a little bit older. So instead of showing your child says, well, I don't get how to do this math problem. Instead of saying, well, here, it's simple. You do this, 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 and then you get to the answer. That doesn't help them because you've showed them how you do it. They need to learn how to do it. So you take a step back and you say, okay, well, why don't you understand it? And now you're engaging the intellect. You're engaging the thinking brain, and they have to understand now and, I don't know. Well, I don't get what I'm supposed to do. Okay, well, why don't you get what you're supposed to do? So that's the second why. Well, because I didn't understand the instructions. Why didn't you understand the instructions? Well, because when I read it, I didn't understand what this or this. So what you're doing this whole process now is they're thinking their way through the problem. Well, I was reading the instructions and I didn't understand what they meant. Okay, well, what word or why didn't you understand what they meant? And what word confused you? And we're going to have a great moment here. My mailman's here and Yuki is about to say hello. So we will deal with that as it goes. So the fourth why is, well, why didn't you understand or what was the problem with the words? At that stage now, what you're working on is getting them to process and understand everything behind it. Once you get through the whys, then you can get to the hows. Well, how would you solve this problem? Enough. How would you solve the basic problem if you could do it? And again, you're getting them thinking and processing through everything. So you want to use at least 5 whys. Get 5 whys deep. We talk about this going deep into the conversation. And then from there, you can use the hows. How would you? And this was a great conversation that we had. You're going to hear the name an awful lot, Ofer Breyer. Ofer Breyer is an extremely intelligent educator. He's bringing his program to the United States. It's one of the things that we're implementing in the karate school. It's teaching the kids polymath. And what that does is it teaches the kids how to be able to solve problems in multiple facets. And so this is one of his key lessons, is making sure that you get your child to think and don't just give them the answers all the time, right? So why is it that you're stuck? Why is it that you didn't understand the instructions, right? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be homework. Well, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. Okay, well, why? Why are you bored? Well, because I want to watch TV and my favorite show isn't on. Okay, well, why is that your favorite show? Why isn't there something else on? Right? And just start getting creative with your whys. And that's going to be able to help out a whole lot. So that's basically what I had for you guys today. Working on your structure. School starts here in Michigan in just over a week. And so definitely starting to prep the kids. That, I guess, would be my third tip. If you haven't already, start preparing the kids now. They should be going to bed at school bedtime and starting to wake up at school start time or school wake up time. Too many kids wait, or parents allow them to wait until the day of school, and they can't go to sleep because they've been going to sleep hours and hours later, and now suddenly you're asking them to go to bed a lot earlier. So start bringing the clock back, getting them to bed at school bedtime. Now, naturally, if it's 2 or 3 hours difference, you don't want to throw that all at once. You want to give it to them in small doses. You've got about a week to do that. More importantly, in my opinion, is getting them up in the morning, right? Even though school's going to be virtual and the trip is very short, you still don't want them groggy, grumpy, and just getting out of bed, the out of bed hair, and they're still in their pajamas, all right? And they're just, okay, I'm here, so what? This is going to be a whole new learning experience for the kids altogether. So they're gonna miss that either walk to school or that trip, either through you driving them or the bus. And that's that acclimation that prepares their brain for class. Now, okay, I'm at the kitchen table, I eat breakfast, I turn to my left, and now I'm in school. So thinking about different ways that you're going to be able to help your child adjust. So that would also then mean, do they have a dedicated space that is their classroom? When you're sitting here, you're in school, right? So if you can start programming the brain so that they start being prepared and ready for that, it's going to help them then, again, not worry or be distracted, right? Because one day I sit at the kitchen table, then the next day I sit on the couch, and then the next day I'm in my bedroom. Well, today I'm out on the porch. There's nothing wrong with changing the scenario. But again, you just want to have that structure behind it, that this is your classroom. Hey, you know what? It's a really nice day outside. Why don't we sit outside? And then that's the exception to the rule. or the structure that you're trying to create. All right, so that's about 3 or 4 things extra than I was thinking, but that keeps us right at about the 10 minutes, and I wanted to be respectful for your time. Ultimately, I'm thinking maybe half an hour maximum for the town halls. So I might go 10 or 15 minutes, and then we have 15 minutes of questions, but I'm willing to stay on and answer questions as long as necessary to help make you guys comfortable. Realize as school gets started, there's going to be more questions as we go. And again, these don't have to be strictly school questions. You can ask about behavior. We're having a hard time. My child's having nightmares and I don't know how to get them to sleep, or my child won't sleep in their bed, or my child won't do their homework. If you have karate questions, hey, we're doing this in the school and I noticed that this has changed. What's the process? Town hall is just that. You are able and welcome to ask. I'll answer, and or any of the other parents, but ask any questions that you might have. So structure, start working on that. In that structure, working on bedtime and wake up time. Start getting your child prepared mentally and physically for class, right? Be dressed, be ready to go. Hello, Logan, good to see you, sir. And make sure that they're mentally and physically prepared for school to make it successful. Because again, a lot of kids aren't going to be. My goal is to make sure that the karate kids are sticking out in a good way. They're the ones sitting, ready, let's listen, and they're ready to learn while the teacher's trying to wrangle the other 20 squirrels in class, right? Because that's definitely going to be a big, big challenge. And then finally, start learning the whys. Ask your child why instead of giving them the answer, right? Hey, how come you didn't make your bed? Well, I don't know how. Why don't you know how? Right? Well, I don't remember if this or this goes. Well, why don't you remember, right? So start applying this to everything to get them thinking. And in the long run, that's going to help them out a whole lot, because then they're not just being spoon-fed answers all the time. It's super easy to go on Google and get an answer, right? So you don't want to stare and suddenly just be able to be a robot and get those answers. We want the kids always processing and thinking. So that is what I had for you guys today. Did either of you guys have an awesome question that you want to share, ask, or tell? You can have an answer too. It doesn't have to be a question. For example, Ms. Cox has already a really great idea that I didn't want to steal, because we always give credit where credit is due. The question is, will she share her idea? She has to unmute herself so we can hear her first. Because if she doesn't do it, then I can steal the idea and I can take credit for it.
Oh, there, I figured it out.
There she is. Sometimes it's a technology glitch.
For the first time using my phone for a Zoom meeting.
Absolutely. I had to do that for karate class today because my computer was doing an hour-and-a-half update. So instead of panicking, so this is one of the things we do talk about real quick is, right, always being prepared for the worst case scenario. My computer started an update at 3:40. That's an hour-and-a-half before classes. And right away I started thinking, okay, if this isn't ready, what am I going to do? So I went to my phone, I downloaded Zoom, and I was ready to go. So the first class I had to do for my phone, so I understand the struggles because I didn't know where any of the buttons were either. So your great idea that you were talking about to help Logan focus, I call them the horse blinders. Why don't you share with what you're doing?
We are getting the trifold poster boards, the big thick foam ones, and we are getting markers and crayons and stickers and whatever he wants, and he is going to be able to decorate his own little study area to be used at the kitchen table, because we don't have space. He doesn't have his own space, so that way it will help. Each of the boys are going to do it, and that way they each have their own little private area for helping them focus during class.
So now he does have his own space.
Now he will. Yes.
Right? And so if you didn't quite picture that, we use the old trapper keepers just to kind of show you how old I am. Right? So we had the little trifold, and you would set it up at your desk so that way it was kind of your little fort. Right? So she's doing that in order to help Logan focus a little bit more. And like I said, I call it the horse blinders. Why do they put blinders on horses? So, hello, Donovan. So they put the blinders on the horses so that the horse just goes straight forward. Otherwise, it's going to go right. It's going to go left. Oh, there's grass over here. Oh, there's a carrot. And it'll just, you're plowing wherever the horse wants to go. So we do the same thing, or she's doing the same thing with the kids now by helping Logan focus by blocking off his area. And now it's going to give him a little bit more privacy, particularly because she has 2 other kids in the apartment also doing class. Now, if you're an only child and you have your own space, you may not need that. You might want the fort because it's cool, right? But then that's the idea. It's just getting creative and giving the kids outlets. As she mentioned, he's going to put markers and color and stickers. He's going to own that space. This is my space, right? So that's going to help him be ready and be proud to go to school. So when I heard that, it was definitely something to think about. So thank you for sharing, ma'am. Did you guys have any other questions, thoughts, or quandaries that we could take care of?
We are ready to take waiting for the school time, so that let's see, because unless and until we go to the situation, we won't able to actually get it what actually we have to, but we are ready to do it.
Awesome. That is very good. And I get that, right? There's nothing but questions right now because nobody on the planet has faced this type of schooling yet.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we do talk about is always preparing for the worst.
Yes.
Right? So thinking about it, okay, well, we're going to be sitting in class for 7 hours. What are we going to do? Right? How am I going to help my child stay focused on those times when he doesn't want to? Like showing us the encyclopedia of dinosaurs. Whoop, whoop. Donovan's always learning about those. Donovan can teach me about dinosaurs because he knows like 8,000 of them. And I'm like, it's a dinosaur. So all those cool things. But always thinking of, well, what's the worst case scenario? How could we handle this? And just by simply mentally role playing, you'll find that you're better prepared for what actually does happen, because moms are awesome at creating worst case scenarios and stressing over them, and they never happen. But that's one of the great things about moms. You're always prepared that way. Right? So, well, let's see. We have to sit at a table and think for 6 hours. That would be pretty bad. But moms don't do that. Moms are like, well, okay, we're in school and the house catches on fire and then the dog runs down the street and my child doesn't have any pants on. Well, those may not happen all at the same time, but that's what plays in your guys' head, because I talk to an awful lot of moms. And that's why I love hearing the stories and kind of getting in there and seeing what is worrying you guys. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys showing up tonight. We're going to try this for about 4 weeks. Give it a run. I'm not expecting hundreds of people. There'll be a lot of people watching the replay. If you are watching the replay and you have questions, you can always email or message. So you don't have to be on here live. I realize the scheduling is going to be different. I'm hoping this goes across the United States. So it's going to open up to different time zones as well. So if this isn't at your best time zone, then you can always send in a question and I'll answer it in the next meeting. But 8:30 Eastern time, Thursday nights, I think will be a good time. And if suddenly we find that there's another better time, then we can adapt, just like the entire school year. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. You guys have an awesome, awesome night. Have a great weekend. And we will see you guys next week. All right. Bye, everybody.